Success is nothing more than a few disciplines practiced every day. Do you need a fresh start? I've got all the tips to get you going. Get your cup of coffee and let's get started. Right now, no matter where you are, you're one decision away from a new tomorrow, from a brand new start. Good morning, I'm Colleen Hammond, and you are watching Coffee with Colleen. I am a former on-camera meteorologist for the Weather Channel turned executive image consultant, coach, and mentor. I have my coffee right here. I help women in 30 days or less take the guessing out of dressing because people do judge you based totally on what you're wearing in just the blink of an eye. So whether you're a mom that wants a new look or an executive, or yes, I've even coached presidential nominees, I'm the gal for you. So today we're talking about how to get a fresh start. One decision. You are one decision away from a brand new start. I just inhaled something. It's the spring. There could be bugs in the house. I might have just inhaled a bug. Wow, that was fun. Welcome to live television. So yeah, fresh start. Good morning, Lori. Mukesh is doing a fresh start, so this is perfect just for you. So we're not just talking about a quick dusting off. We're talking about a fresh start, starting from scratch, doing like a reset button, like hit the red button, put everything in a stop, and let's pause, restart. That's what we're talking about. Not just, oh, I want to try something new, right? This is totally doing a fresh start. And I think the first place to start, and this isn't one of the 5 tips, but the first place to start is to really stop. The best thing you can do for a fresh start is to stop and just pause. Just go, okay, wait a minute. Before I start diving in and going in all sorts of different directions. And Dennis and I were talking about this morning, that instead of, and we had just a great quote, and I wrote it down. Let me just pull it up because I texted it to him. More failure has been caused by indecision rather than poor decisions. So rather than being like the indecisive, right, where you're like, I'm not sure what to do, and it becomes this weird dance in your life, pause, stop, let's, get an idea of where you're going. What do you feel that is your mission in life? What's the most important? Goes back to that quadrant again, urgent and important, right? Good morning, Laura, Mukesh, who snuck in here that I didn't see? Natasha. Monica, of course, is in a hotel drinking hotel coffee. So doing your life's mission, what do you feel that you've been placed here to do? That's the first thing you really need to decide, is what direction you're going. And we were talking about this yesterday. And I said, as long as you're working down the road, sometimes you'll get knocked off on the corner of the side of the road, gets a little bumpy, get back on the pavement. Because if you stay on the side of the road, you are roadkill. And nobody wants to be roadkill in their life. So get back on the road, keep going forward, right? So when you feel that inner resistance, there's a wonderful book, and I have the link here, and the link are in today's show notes as well. But here's the link if you're watching me live on Facebook, to an amazing book. It's called The War of Art, Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles. It's by Steven Pressfield. Highly recommend this book. I read it and reread it and reread it and reread it. But he talks about in the book, when you feel that sense of what he calls the resistance. Now, he's a Christian, so at the end of the book, in the epilogue, and in the he says, as a Christian, he calls this resistance the devil. But it's any sort of creative work that you're trying to do that you feel that you've got these blocks and these things that are happening, or you're worried that somebody may laugh at you, or you're worried that you may be held accountable for the decisions you make. And remember what we just said, more failure has been caused by indecision than poor decisions. Fresh start takes action and clarity of mission. Clarity of mission is hard to find. And sometimes when you can't find that clarity of mission, I know you and I have talked about this, Joanne, it is just taking baby steps forward, doing some learning, getting out there and building your foundation. Which is when I'm like, stop, pause, let's clarify before we, but you want to start moving down the road in some sort of direction. But it's that resistance, when you're feeling that resistance that may be holding you back, or that little voice that makes you want to shut down, or somebody's going to laugh at you, or you won't be accepted. But Steven Pressfield calls that the resistance. And he has all sorts of ways in that book, The War of Art, on how to overcome that. Good morning, Mary Therese. Good morning, Fiona. So getting away from the indecision and getting on the path towards something. So what is trying to stop you and what are you doing about it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Number one is how fed up are you really? Because, and I talk to people, there's all sorts, let's take the diet industry, for example. There are all sorts of diet examples out there. I have cats over here that are fighting and something just crashed in the kitchen in the next room. Wow, talk about live television. I've had all sorts of stuff this morning. But the diet industry is all over the place. Diet and exercise, this works. And then they have all these testimonials of the things that work for different people. But what happened? Good morning, Kim. What happened is that person somewhere along the line said, that's it, I'm done. Fresh start, boom, hitting the button. Something happened that said, no more. They hit the pain of change wasn't, the current pain outweighed that pain of change. So where I'm at right now, I'm overweight, I'm not dieting, I'm not exercising, I know what I'm supposed to do. And then Beachbody's over here and you got P90X and then you've got, Leslie Sasson, and there's all these things all over the place that are saying, this works, and you're looking at all these before and afters. But what has to happen? It has to be here. You have to get so fed up that the pain of doing something is not as much as the pain you're in right now. Somewhere along the line, it has to be that point where you're like, you know what, I want to lose weight, or I want to start a new business, or I want to go in this particular direction, but you're not doing it. You have to get to that point where you're fed up. And what was that line from that movie? I'm as mad as heck and I'm not going to take it anymore, right? That's the point you have to be at. Good morning, Judy. Thanks for the beautiful note, by the way. Sherry says, I've been hearing voices in my head my whole life. I don't mean those voices, Sherry. So don't worry about trying to fit in. And it's not, to be successful, it's not changing who you are. It's becoming the best of who you are. Let me say that again. When you're fed up and you're ready to make that next step, that next move, it's not about changing who you are. It's about becoming the best of who you are. And that's what I want for you. So number one, you got to be fed up. Number two, what are you willing to give up? Once you've reached that I'm fed up stage, what are you willing to give up? Those habits that are near and dear to your heart, like sleeping in. Your bad habits, are you willing to give those up? How fed up are you really? Because you can't have that fresh start until you're totally fed up. You want to be the best of who you are, which means you're willing to give up your bad habits. So are you willing to do the all for all or nothing? Are you all in on this? Or are you just kind of partially in? Oh, I'm on my notes and I already see somebody in here that's got the notes today already. What about the obstacles? Are you ready to try new things, uncomfortable things? Because what got you where you are today is not going to be what you need to do to get you where you are tomorrow. Again, what got you where you are today is not going to get you where you want to be tomorrow. And on the live show, I see we had some freezing issues. So I think that's all resolved. Okay, everyone's back. All right, I didn't get a broadcast interrupted here, so I apologize for that. So what are you willing to give up? And if you want to be the best who you are, again, you need to give up those bad habits. Number three, what's your plan? I mean, it's important to be going down that road, but you have to have a map that's taking you toward a target. And I have maps galore, but there's one map that has a very clear defined path. Sometimes you get on the shoulder, don't stay in the stroller, get back on the path. But what's your plan? You have to have a plan. What's your daily goal, your monthly goal, your weekly goal? Having those goals. Are you willing to eliminate the ambiguity? Are you doing busy work? Right? And that's number four. What's your daily accountability? Do you have an accountability partner? Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? I'm about to open up my coaching and mentoring program in June. What are your rules? What are your non-negotiables? What are your values, your beliefs that you're never going to compromise? And how are you going to celebrate your wins daily? What kind of action are you taking? Because remember, sitting in a rocking chair, that's action. That's not getting you anywhere, right? Where do you want to go? Do you have that map? Do you have that path? Do you have an accountability partner or coach or a mentor? The thing is, good morning, Melanie. The thing is that people say, oh, well, I don't need a coach. I know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, but are you doing it? The top physical athletes, you don't get to the Olympics without a coach. And these are the top athletes in the world. And they have coaches telling them what to do. You look at all the top people, they have coaches, they have mentors, they have accountability partners that are holding them accountable for their daily actions. Brendan Burchard said something the other day in our private coaching that I thought was really powerful. He said, every action that you're doing, imagine that you're being watched by your idol. Okay, for example, or as a Christian, I always imagine God's watching everything that I do, and I want to make sure that I do everything with perfect intent and perfect. But if you have a coach or a mentor or somebody that you really look up to, then you don't even know them, right? But imagine that everything that you're doing, that person is watching you do. Doesn't that take your game up a notch? Doesn't that take you to a little bit better, being a little bit better than you are and want to be? To take it to that next level. So again, do you have an accountability partner? And what's your daily accountability? Thank you, Fiona. And number 5, what's your plan for motivation? Because you know what? There's going to be those days. There's going to be a day when something is wrong. Something's going to happen. It's going to go wrong. Or for me, it's always seems to be my health, that pops up. So what's your plan for continued action? What's your plan for motivation? Do you have a playlist? I made a new playlist yesterday. I've been working on this new certification. So it has had for almost 2 weeks, had me head to the books almost, six days a week, about 12 to 14 hours a day. I've been going through the certification program for 8 different certifications, and I made it through 7. And yesterday was my last day to get through everything. So I made it through 7, so I'm really proud of that. I didn't make it through all 8. But what's your plan if you stumble or you fail? Because failure is just a roadmap of what not to do next time. So it's important to kind of dissect those things and look back and say, this kind of was a failure. I did this wrong. This didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to work out. So how am I going to handle this next time? It's just a roadmap of what not to do. Again, we go back to Thomas Edison and the 10,000 ways not to do a light bulb. But yesterday I developed a new playlist. I have music that inspires me, that I like. I have music I listen to that I work well, very low in the background. I listen to Baroque music, and that helps my brain waves kind of, but it has to be very, very low. Not something I can listen to or I start humming it, right? But I have morning music that I listen to when I wake up that gets me motivated to work out because it gets me hopping around. Then I have different music that I listen to in the middle of the day. Then I have music that I listen to. Music works for me. So what's your motivation? Do you have a plan for your motivation? Because there's going to be days that you just don't feel like it. Yeah, so much for resting. I know, Fiona. And having a plan for your daily victories. Kim says, I have a hard time staying motivated because I went to work full-time. Seems like I can't get traction to move my business forward. Yeah, which is interesting. Your 4-year-old son, is that your motivation, Margaret Ann? Coffee is your motivation, says Sherry. That's pretty funny. So how are you going to celebrate your victories? Do you have a plan for your celebration? Because daily you should be looking at those victories. So again, here's your 5 steps to a fresh start. Number 1 is, how fed up are you really? Are you really to that point where you're so fed up, I'm mad a second, I'm not going to take it anymore, I'm hitting the reset button? You have to be fed up. Because again, the quote is, you don't have to change who you are to be successful. You just have to be a better you. Number 2, what are you willing to give up? And it better be your bad habits, because you want to be the best of who you are, right? Are you ready to try new things? Are you ready to try uncomfortable things? Are you ready to do a year of yes, where you just say yes when somebody asks you to do something, and no matter how scary it is, you just say yes? Number 3, what's your plan? Have a daily goal, a weekly goal, a monthly goal. Like Kim, now that she's working full time, there's still 2 hours a week that you can work toward that business, or 6 hours a week, or 1 hour a week, or how you can fit that in. So what's your plan is number three. Number four, do you have an accountability partner? It's really important to have outside accountability, especially if you're working for yourself. Again, action is one thing, but a rocking chair is action and it doesn't get you anywhere. So there's productive action and there's busy work. And number five, what's your plan for daily motivation when things go wrong? Because bad things are going to happen. And remember, failure is just a roadmap of what not to do next time. So are you ready to get busy living, or are you busy dying? Because if you're not moving forward, you're sliding backward. Just baby steps. But sometimes you have to pause, kind of look around. That's okay, but don't get stuck there. Don't get stuck on the side of the road with the roadkill, right? You don't need permission from anyone else. Maybe you do, but you don't need permission to be a better person. You don't need permission to be a better you. And don't wait for the things to be perfect, because when you leave the house, not all the lights are going to be green. You're going to run into a red light somewhere along the line. So don't be afraid to get started, and don't wait for permission to be a better you, and don't wait for the situation to be perfect and everything to be perfect, because the lights are never all going to be green. It starts when you make your mind up that it's going to start. So are you ready for a fresh start today? I certainly hope so. If you felt that this information was helpful to you, please like, comment, and share. Subscribe to me on YouTube. I just need a couple of more before I go to the next bonus level on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to me yet, go over to YouTube and subscribe to me over there, because it's going to boost me up to some, I don't know, some fun level on YouTube. So I would appreciate it if you would do that. If you would like the notes from today's conversation and you're watching me on Facebook, comment me in the comments section below if you're on my business page, or there will be a link there to send me a message on Facebook Messenger and tell me that you want the notes for the Fresh Start program. All right, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to stop the recording for the people on YouTube, and then I'll come back to you on the live show. So we'll see you in just a minute. Thanks for being here.